Hey everyone, hope you're well. This is CoinsKid. Just coming over to Vchain once again. Thank you for your support. Okay, build a CoinsKid crew. So it's really important that we pay attention to Ethereum here. I know this is a Vchain video and you want a Vchain content, but I look at other things in the charts to give us clues. Like, for example, look at the S&P 500, look at Tether dominance, look at Bitcoin dominance. I don't just look at the Vchain chart to make guesses as to where price is going to go to. So I look at other things, the macro environment in crypto. And one of the key charts I look at is Ethereum, because Ethereum's been getting absolutely bashed up. But for anyone that's been paying attention to the channel, the macro buy signal was buy for Ethereum way back there in April, and I relayed that to you. And one of the primary reasons I was looking at buying Ethereum was really simple. On the weekly time frame, we're really oversold. We're in the floor down there, and every time we've been down here has not a good time to buy Ethereum. And I said to you, I expect a positive reaction from that, and look at the reaction so far. We're absolutely flying here off that buy signal. Equally, on the daily, we had the bullish divergence down there that I pointed out to you way back when as well. Okay, so I've got a lot of trolls, a lot of people saying an idiot and things like that, but we've got the bullish divergence that I pointed out to you. We've got the macro buy signal for Ethereum in April, and look at that so far, whopping 95% up. So we may have seen the emergence of a first impulsive move here for Ethereum. This is a very powerful move, and the first wave has been roughly 95 to 100%, which is absolutely amazing. So that may be giving us a clue that Ethereum, we need to see Ethereum doing well. Okay, and it is doing really well. So it may be a clue that Vchain, regardless of what it's doing right now, is a buy, because eventually it catches up Ethereum, because this is exactly what it's done in the previous cycle. Ethereum bolted, then when Ethereum cooled down, your king of your altcoins, this is where Vchain, not really doing much at the time, it absolutely caught up. So if we drop Vchain in right now, there you can clearly see on the micro it's neutral, on the macro it's below neutral, so it's not really doing much. Okay, so we'll dive into the charts right now and see what we can see. But right towards the end of the cycle, we do see a waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance, and this is something we've not seen in any price structure so far, is the breakdown of the Bitcoin dominance. So we'll take a look at that as well in comparison to the previous cycles going forward for Vchain. Okay, so looking at Bitcoin dominance, I think we're nearing the potential trigger point of an alt season, okay, for the Bitcoin dominance. I know a lot of people, they're looking at this trigger point way back here around about 71.2%, where we begin to see the massive waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance. And at that point, your altcoins, your VeChain, so on and so forth, we're going crazy. We've got the trigger point just there as well, where this dropped late 2017, early 2018. We started to see the waterfall in the dominance, and coins, XRP, VeChain, so on and so forth. I don't think VeChain was around then, but VeChain in this cycle absolutely went vertical. Okay, so again, it's not bullshit, not hopium. We just don't see it in this cycle, and we saw it in that cycle, and we saw it in this cycle. And it just feels like it's never going to come in every single cycle. So basically, what I'm looking at, for those people who remember, in March of 2024, sorry, a lot of people are really bullish and calling for an alt season. But like I said to you, I don't see the trigger point here. I think we'll have some kind of move up in alts once we come up to this back, God candle back test at roughly 59.67%, and I think we may be on the cusp of doing something very similar here, at roughly 67.5%. I think that could be a trigger point where we do start to see a massive move up in altcoins. So I know a lot of people, they're waiting for that trigger point that were there, and there they're looking at 71.27%, but I think it may front run that, basically, because if you take a look at this God candle back test just there, we came up, and just this small little pullback that was anticipating this God candle back test, that was a massive move up in altcoins, and especially for Vchain. So I'm looking at that trigger point, and this is why you see this dotted line in the charts just there. This is actually a notification. I don't know if I've taught you this before, but if you want a notification, say for example, I'm nailing this, and we come up like this, we had a little blip in dominance where we saw a big move up in the Vchain right there, and then we come up like this, and we hit this trigger point, and everybody's waiting for that white line to get hit around about 71.27%, but we trigger an alt season here, okay, at this God candle back test. Look, there's your God candle back test from April of 2021, and you've got God candle back test just there from January of 2021. So, and these have never been retested as resistance. That was tested, led to this pullback. Right now, I think this trigger point here could be a good idea at the time. Okay, let's convert our Bitcoin, or just look at some beautiful altcoin opportunities when we see that trigger point. And this is why this dotted white lines here, because what you can do, you can basically drop a notification on TradingView at any point on any chart. So let's say, for example, as an experiment right now, that nailing this, we come up into this God candle back test roughly 67.65%, and we trigger an alt season. Well, where could this alt season go to? So like I've taught you, on the way up, resistance, look at that. If you melt through support, you usually come back up into it to backtest the resistance, and you see a rejection. Okay, there's your rejection there that led to some kind of pullback for the Bitcoin dominance, and obviously a big move up in VeChain. So it's the same on the downside. When you break these legs of resistance, look at that resistance, broke out a God candle, you came back to it, but you broke out a God candle just there, and you've never come back to it. So that may be right now where the bottom of the basically the Bitcoin dominance lands, sometime this year potentially. So we're looking at that. So if we want a notification, all you do is go to the right, and you got a little plus symbol just there, and what you do is click the plus symbol, alert, job done, and that's it. So basically I've got an alert on this dotted line that once 67.65% is hit, I'll get a message to my phone, my laptop, whatever, boom, and then as this starts to come down, I'll get another alert. And again, it's theory, it may not happen, who knows, no one's got a crystal ball, but this could be the perfect play for an alt season. We're trending up like this, above the ribbon, we come up, we get rejected, everybody and the dog is waiting for 71%, because that's what happened there, and that's what happened there. It front runs, and then it drops like an absolute stone towards this line here, which is your God candle back test, and then that's it, it's over. You've got your waterfall, your waterfall, your waterfall, and VeChain's going absolutely vertical, which is pretty much what it did just there. So I'll drop the VeChain chart in right now, and this is why I do remain bullish on VeChain, because we've not seen the waterfall that we see in every single cycle. So why would this cycle be any different? Right on cue, 4 years later after the drop basically of the previous two cycles. So if we drop VeChain in right now, new price to scale, you can clearly see, look at the vertical in VeChain as this waterfall started to occur in the Bitcoin dominance. So in theory, right now, this is trending up, trending up, trending up. If it gets rejected at 67.65%, starts to roll and loses a ribbon, you've got your waterfall, which is what you got there and what you got there. And then you should expect VeChain to go absolutely vertical at that particular time frame. So let's dive into the VeChain chart to see what we can see. Okay, but all eyes on the Bitcoin dominance. So looking at VeChain on the 5-day time frame, the reason I do remain bullish because of this low here in June, okay, and obviously we're not seeing the waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance so far, and the fact that we have seen a 5-wave move up, so that's an impulsive move in my book. Okay, 1, 2, breakout 3, pull back 4 into a final 5th wave. So go back to the videos at that time frame in March when people were calling for the basically the alt season. Alt seasons come from these lows basically. Look, this come down, led to a breakout. That was your alt season. They come from lows, not from highs. Especially when you've seen 5 waves up, you shouldn't be calling for an alt season. And this is something I relay to you. So my primary was we pull back for VeChain, we'd tag that Bitcoin dominance, and then we would see the emergence of a vertical. But obviously I got it completely wrong because we've not come up and seen the waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance. So I think what we've seen here is an ABC, a corrective move. So I actually think we've got an impulsive move, expanded flat ABC, and right now we've still got the dominance trending up. So in theory we should just be patient, wait for the dominance to break down in its waterfall, because once it does, then you've got your vertical in the VeChain chart, pretty much like we've got there. So you got your peak, and then you drop like a stone. And what was happening to VeChain from the bottom? Again, a lot of people calling for alt season at the tops, boom, went vertical. So we need to see that. We need to see, the drop in the Bitcoin dominance, losing the ribbon on the weekly and the 5-day time frame. If it starts to drop below that, then okay, we've got a major move up in VeChain. Really simple. Okay, so we've just got to be patient for that. So in the meantime, I think what we're seeing is some kind of A wave down, a B wave expanded flat bull trap basically that took out the high, and then we've seen this sharp drop for VeChain, and it's coiling up right now. So we've got resistance at the ribbon, we're coming back. If we can create some kind of ascending triangle just there and hold this low, this was your expanded flat correction that bottomed, impulsive, corrective, breakout, see you later. So one of the key charts we have to pay attention to, which is confluence this particular analysis, is Ethereum. Okay, so if we drop Ethereum in right now, just there, new price to scale, you can clearly see Ethereum, look at this, expanded flat correction as well. And what we've done at the same time frame last year in March, we've come down A, B, C. So Ethereum has been in the absolute floor, but right now we've seen a massive move up for Ethereum off the same low. So we're looking at a potential scenario that Ethereum is front running, it's giving us a clue, and we are potentially on the cusp of a major alt season. But what we've got to see to back up this move from Ethereum is the waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance, which we just simply don't see yet. So if Ethereum continues and does something like that and calls up, and we start to see the waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance, lose a ribbon on the weekly time frame, wow, Ethereum's going absolute vertical, pretty much like what it did there. At the same time, you know, VeChain was doing exactly that, you know, which obviously never feels like it's going to happen. Altcoins lag all the way to the end of the cycle, and we've seen it every single time. So why would this time be any different? So going forward, this is your bull market support for VeChain at 0.131, because this is the amounts of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. Expanded flat ABC, just like here as well. We've got a beautiful move up for Ethereum, ABC zigzag, and right now impulsive corrective, boom. We're looking at something like that, right on cue, end of 4-year cycle, with the Bitcoin dominance running to that level of resistance and that God candle back test that I've got my eyes on with a notification. Hope you understand the update. Stay obviously, stay tuned. Take care, everyone. Back soon with another update on VeChain. Bye bye.